Thailand has some of the most amazing islands in the world, delicious food and marvelous traditions. It is one of the only countries that has managed to evade European rule. It has a monarchy that has reigned for almost as long as the US has existed. This is Thailand. Our tale begins in northern Thailand, approximately 1 million years ago. Different Stone Age communities who built tools out of bones started to arise, and in Pai, a small backpacker haven hidden deep within the mountains, you can find the Thamlod Cave, which was occupied in 9000 BC by the Hobinyan people. Now let's go a little bit more south in Thailand, like the first Thai people who migrated out of southern China did in the 7th century. They established the kingdom of Sukhothai, which translates to the dawn of happiness, and it was the first major Thai kingdom. Now we're gonna head to the largest city in northern Thailand, Chiang Mai, which was the capital of another major Thai empire, which was a strong ally to the Sukhothai. The Lanna kingdom was known as the Kingdom of a Million Rice Fields. The first king of the Lanna Empire wanted Theravada Buddhism to be the core of his empire. Buddhism flourished and became a way of life for people, and many of the customs developed in this time are still alive today. Eventually, both kingdoms fell, to the Burmese in the north and to the Ayutthaya kingdom in the south. And so begins the next chapter of our story.
So today we're going to Ayutthaya. The train ticket was 30 baht, so really freaking cheap. We're gonna go see all the temples and stuff like that, or like the old ruins. And the train ride is about 2 hours.
Legend goes that a trading settlement stood on the Chao Phraya River plain. Here lived the son of a rich Chinese merchant called Yu Thong. He married 2 princesses that gave him power and influence. In 1350, an epidemic struck. Fleeing disease, he took his people on a journey that lasted several days until he saw an island. There he settled, declaring himself Ramathobi I and establishing the Ayutthaya Empire. At the height of its power, Ayutthaya was one of the world's largest and wealthiest cities with over 1 million inhabitants. It was the center of international trade, which brought a lot of prosperity. A number of palaces and many imposing temples were built. Interestingly enough, to protect itself for a number of years, foreigners were not allowed to live on the island. Several countries, including Holland, Portugal, and Japan, built settlements just off the island. The Ayutthaya Empire established the beginning of modern Thailand as we know it. Throughout the years, Ayutthaya had more than 20 wars with the Burmese. But during these battles, staples of Thailand of today flourished. Ayutthaya soldiers practiced an ancient sword-fighting method, Krabi Krabong, meaning the curved sword and staff, that eventually transformed into today's Muay Thai. So make sure to catch one of these epic matches. To find Ayutthaya's other weapon, we're going to have to venture deep into the jungle and visit an elephant sanctuary. During these legendary battles, the cavalry would ride on elephants, and it is claimed that Ayutthaya had over 10,000 war elephants. And there's still a very strong relationship between humans and elephants today. The Ayutthaya fought off a Burmese invasion in 1592, and legend goes that in the heat of battle, the Ayutthaya king Narason spotted the Burmese commander on his elephant. They battled 1-to-1 on top of their ferocious elephants until the Ayutthaya king was victorious. For the next couple of centuries, Ayutthaya grew to be one of the centers of trade in the Indian Ocean. Peace and prosperity did not last forever, though. In 1765, the Burmese invaded Ayutthaya and burned the capital to the ground. This was the end of the dynasty. But it allows us to move to our very last city. 15 years after the fall of the city, a new capital was built in Ayutthaya's image. And finally, we arrive at Bangkok. The old dynasty was replaced by the Chakri. The Chakri Dynasty expanded Siam to its greatest extent. Through maintaining a powerful military and diplomacy, it was the only country in Southeast Asia that was never colonized by any European powers, a fate which did not escape any of the neighboring countries. The Siamese Revolution of 1932 was a relatively bloodless coup d'etat, changing the country from a monarchy to a constitutional monarchy. We just saw various empires arise and fall within the borders of Thailand, and most of these empires had very strong trade relations. Therefore, trade was a big part of most of the islands who had inhabitants. And where there is trade, there's also pirates. For hundreds of years, the waters surrounding Thailand were infested with ruthless pirates, some which still remain. Thailand is truly amazing in every sense of the word. I mean, because of basically everything that we just talked about. I mean, Thailand is truly unique. So if you get a chance to experience it, I really hope you do, once COVID is over. And so yeah, this is Tan Incredible. Normally a travel channel / I do history now too. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and move on to your next video, which just hopefully happens to be one of mine.